In the words of DJ Khaled, another one. ATrueHero back with another video. It's been a minute since we last posted, but I've been on my Yugi grind. For those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. Make yourself at home. And please, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps a lot with these videos, and it lets me know that you appreciate what I'm giving to the community. Now, most recently, your boy, ATrueHero, has shown the power of heroes to the world. And by world, I mean Edison format. Just got top 8 at DD3. I'm very proud about that. And here's the deck list. Now, for all of those looking, you might notice something a little peculiar. Some monster with a cute little sword and purple fur, and is this like a red armor? Yes, the Penguin Soldier. So I'm going to be honest, guys. Penguin Soldier, he's not that good. Like, just being honest, I'm just going to tell you right from the gate, he's not that good. But I was able to top 8 with him regardless. And first, let me tell you my theory behind him. Penguin Soldier is essentially a water version of Falsodyna, but not as broken, of course, because he can eat away at the opponent's boards. Let's say you're going up against a board of Synchros, attack, Penguin Soldier, bounce, bounce, Slade. Or even in the cases of, like, if the dupe lock is up on the field, you can flip Penguin Soldier, disrupt the dupe lock, and then go on from there. And Penguin Soldier also has a lot of merits because since he's compulsory on crack, opponents fear him, and they're not going to blindly or recklessly attack into face downs. However, the problem in Edison format is setting monsters, in my personal opinion, is too slow. So cards like Penguin Soldier and, yes, even Snowman Eater are too slow. Now, Snowman Eater has the advantage that he's got a big butt, right? It's hard to get over 19, and he's good tribute fodder for Kaius as well. He stops Shora. Like, Snowman Eater, definitely a good card. However, if I could go back and edit my deck again, I would drop the Penguin Soldier and replace it with either a Book of Moon, because Brain Control is just so outrageously broken, or replace him with a Tomato. Now, I don't want to get too much into the deck specifics. I'm going to save that for another video. Today, what I really wanted to go over was the top 8 tournament run. How I went from going first in Swiss and getting top 8 at the event. So today's video might be kind of long. We're going to go over replays, and we're just going to get right into it. So let's start with replay number 1. So round 1 of the tournament, I'm going against Adams 101. So as you can see, open up pretty nice. Card Trooper, Dust Shoot, Solemn. Dust Shoot, send his Raikou away, and now I can see his hand's dead. And here, I'm hoping, since I have Solemn set, that he goes Solar Recharge. Because if he goes Solar Recharge, immediately, this will be the fastest Solemn Judgment that has ever been flipped in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! History. But instead, he decides to summon Lumina. So, when he summons Lumina, he's playing a bit fast and he tries to immediately activate the effect, but I decide just to Solemn Lumina because I know his hand is still dead. However, this puts me at risk because Light Swarms, they can just kill you out of nowhere. And 4,000 to a JD ain't nothing. He sets what I know is a beckoning, and I just have to get aggressive. So at this point, it's just a racing game. Now here, I could have Miracle Fusioned. However, the reason why I didn't do it is because I didn't want to waste my Stratos, right? So I decided not to Miracle Fusion. He draws a Light Sworn, recharges. My turn. Mill Godlike. So I milled both Molly and Plague. So we know that he doesn't have anything. So we make Stardust and we sack for Caius. And here, we know it's just game. We could have Miracle Fusioned as well, but we know it's game. He flips up Beckoning. He drops a Necro, which we didn't foresee. But even with dropping Necro, any combination of these two attacks is still game. So, easy game 1. All right, game 2. We open up nice. Mill cards with Card Trooper. Synchro into Catastor. Catastor because the deck's called Lightsworns, right? So, of course, if you make Catastor, they're going to have trouble against them. And we Gold Sark for Dark Arm because our hand's dark heavy. Okay? So, once again, against Lightsworns, it's always a race. Grepher, Crash. And the reason why we go Grepher, Crash instead of Catastor, Crash is because, once again, we're in a race. If Catastor attacks the Lila, sure enough, his monster would go to the grave. But I would do less damage. And I'm trying to do as most damage as possible in a short amount of time. And I'm also trying to put Darks in the grave for Dark Arm. So he takes 22. His go, Beckoning's for 4. So now, whenever my opponent flips Beckoning, I'm happy. Because now, there's no surprising. Beckoning truly reveals the light. So his hand's pretty good. He has 4 names, but I have Torrential set. He drops JD. Doesn't call Prio, but it's fine. I Torrential. He summons Pitch 28. Nothing. And mills a Wolf on the end phase. So now here, this is where I make a minor misplay. And this minor misplay could have actually caused me the game. Okay? Now, I'm not one to make Johns, as they call them in Smash, or excuses, right? But I will say this. I love playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I play it all the time, but I'm only human. And being a human being, I'm going to make mistakes from time to time. Sometimes I'm not going to see certain plays. Moreover, I don't live in America. I live in South Korea. So these Edison tournaments start at 2 a.m. my time. So every Edison tournament, I go in there sleep deprived. So, you know, I make a minor misplay here. And I'll just play it out and I'll show you what it is. Drop Dark Arm and attack. I know he has Gardner. So what I should have done was instead of banishing 3 darks with Dark Arm, banish 2 darks with Dark Arm. And then what I should have done is sack this Plague for Caius, and Caius banished one of his Lightsworns. And the reason why that's important is because it would ensure that he takes at least 24 points of damage, which means his life points will drop to 200. Because in this situation, his best top deck is JD. If he pulls JD, he drops JD, he pays 1,000, and he wins. That's just it. Because I stack my next card. My next card is Mirror Force. He'd be at 16. He'd be able to pay again, and that's 6,000. So I would have lost. If I did it the way I just told you, which is putting him at 200, then his best card, once again being JD, he draws JD for turn. He drops it. He has to attack over Dark Arm. Because if he doesn't attack over Dark Arm, then Dark Arm clears his field. So he attacks over my Dark Arm. I take 200. And then my turn, I draw for turn Mirror Force because I stacked it. I set Mirror Force. And then his go, he attacked, he gets Mirror Force, and then I win the game. So objectively, the better play was summoning Caius, banishing a Lightsworn, and bringing him down to 200. But however, in the heat of the moment, I wasn't thinking that. But still, thankfully, he drew a dead card, and that was just game. So that's round 1. On to round 2. Okay, round 2. I'm going against Ace of Spades. And Ace of Spades actually came in top 8 in this event. Now here, I don't know what deck he's playing, right? But my hand is one of those hands where it's just, if you got it, you got it. Got it being torrential, right? So this is one of the hands where it's like, okay, does he have oppression? No. Does he have bottomless? No. Does he have torrential? No. So I just have to go through the motions. So we pitch Molly, Future Fusion, send our cards, we ask him if everything's good, and we make Stardust Goyu. Now here's something very interesting here. I was actually giving a lot of consideration to making Stardust Brio. Reason being is because Stardust Brio puts him on a 2-turn clock, because that would be 48-48, which is game. However, making Brionac is dangerous because if I make Brionac and then he has brain control in his hand, then he brain controls my Brio and he can return my whole field. Return my Future Fusion, return my Stardust, return my Brio, and I lose. I lose from that point on. Like, I'm not going to be able to out anything. So if I make Goyu instead of Brio, he can brain control my Goyu, and then he can attack, and I can Mirror Force. Because Stardust behind Mirror Force is very powerful. So that's why I elected to make Goyu instead of Brio. Because brain control is just too real of a card. So we attack, and now we see we're going against dragons. And instead of attacking with Stardust, we just end our turn because we don't want him to get anything useful off this Masked Dragon. His go, he summons DD Warrior Lady, we just bottomless. He books to save it, and he sets call and passes. I draw a Trap Dust Shot at the right time, set it, send back DD Warrior Lady. He flips up DD Warrior Lady, Mirror Force. I draw Brain Control off the top. Amazing top deck, but he has Call of the Haunted set. So I kill his guy. I go, you take his guy. And 0 attack. He has to banish and attack for 25. His go, summons a guy, crashes, sets a back row, and I draw off the top Mind Control. Savage. So I take game 1. Game 2. So our hand's not bad, but he opened up first turn Future Fusion, which is really bad for us. So we don't have a choice. We got a heavy here. Summon Caius, and now we're in a great situation, right? We're Caius with a Solemn set, and we're going to Sark for our own Future Fusion. So we're in a really good situation. We Solemn the Red Eyes, so we're really not worried about anything. And here we had a little commotion, conversation about whether or not he could bring back Red Eyes. Because this is something you guys should know about how Red Eyes ruling works. If your opponent summons Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, or any monster for that matter, and it gets Solemn Judgment, they cannot activate Wyvern's effect. Because Wyvern says you can only bring a monster back if you didn't normal summon that turn. Even though the normal summon was negated, you still attempted to normal summon, so you cannot special summon Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon off Wyvern effect. However, Ace of Spades pointed out that he didn't normal summon Red Eyes. He special summoned Red Eyes with the effect, which makes sense, right? Because when we look here, you know, Totem Dragon's banished, and he even earlier declared that he banished it to special summon it. So that was a mistake on my part. But it didn't matter because I had Smashing Ground. Smashing Ground is actually for Christia. But the good thing is, Smashing Ground is very versatile. It's just good at killing big monsters. Dark Creator, no problem. Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, no problem. You know? Christia, no problem. Like, Fortress, no problem. Smashing Ground's a great card that gets rid of a lot of threats. So here, we swing for 24, and things are looking really good. He's really low on life. Even though I'm really down in card advantage, I'm getting Future Fusion next turn. I draw Brain Control for turn. Like, I got a Tragodia in my hand to protect me. Everything is coming along nicely. So we swing. Well, we go for Future Fusion. He oppresses, so we're sad about that. We swing, and Exploder Dragon. Can you believe it? I was so shocked. Like, DD Warrior Lady, sure, but Exploder Dragon? So that kind of puts us in not the best situation. But we're still okay because we can special trag under oppression. But Ace of Spades is a really good player, right? So he drew Igeniero Drago. And instead of attacking with it, because he knew it would be destroyed during the end phase, he just sets it. He sets it until he gets a guy. And then he swings, so I can't even drop my Tragodia, and he sets another one. Really, really smart play. So pretty much he's just waiting to get any dragon or any monster. And he has Solemn Set as well. I Sark for MST because at this point I already used Heavy. And there's no card that can reliably get rid of this Royal Oppression in my deck at this time. So I Sark for MST to get rid of the Oppression, because if I get rid of Oppression, then I have plays in the future. But once again, Ace of Spade plays well, and he flips up his face down Drago, summons Mash Dragon, and attack tag. Alright, game 3. So game 3 opened up very well. Future Fusion, and we set our Sangan. He Sarks for his Future Fusion, and we're just going to swing. 27. We swing, we hit both. Amazing, set Dust Tornado. He tries to get his Future Fusion early, but I tell him you can't. And my 0 comes out, and here he bottomlesses, which is really sad. Now, I'm looking at my hand now, and I see that actually I have game. So all I need for, game is for this Caius to resolve successfully. If Caius resolves successfully, then I can attack with Sangan, Caius, Grepher, and Miracle Fusion, a 0. So we Dust Tornado, we roll the dice because we always leave it up to fate, and I hit a dead card, Burial. So we sack Treeborn for Caius, and we hit the wrong target. Like, it's just very unfortunate, right? Because let's say that with Dust Tornado, we hit the Book of Moon, right? Then he can chain Book on Sangan or Grepher, and it doesn't matter. I didn't change the battle position that turn, so I could just flip it up, right? And if he Book of Moon's Treeborn, like, that doesn't matter. I'm sacking it for Caius. So we hit the wrong card with Dust Tornado, right? But still, we decide to go for this play because this brings him down to 100. And set return and pass. His go, he gets Future Fusion. So I'm a little scared now. He clears my 0. He Future Fusions. He sends his 5. And he drops Red Eyes. He drops Prime Material. So in my head, I'm thinking, because I have return set, all I need to win this game is for him to kill Sangan. If he kills Sangan, then I can search out any tuner, flip return, and it's game, right? But Ace of Spades, being the smart player that he is, doesn't attack Sangan. But I draw Plague for turn, summon Plague, make Colossal, attack, and that's just it. Swing for game. So that's round 2. Next, round 3. Okay, round 3. And this round I go up against the legendary Roghnach. And it is also, unfortunately, the round that I take my first loss. So, I lose RPS, go first. Opening hand's decent, but it gets worse, and my mills aren't too great either. He takes my Card Trooper, swings, and then he sacks it for a spear. Now, at this point, I'm super unfamiliar with Spear of Chaos, so I'm reading over it. Because if you notice, I have Bottomless set. And I'm like, well, this isn't a card worth bottomlessing, right? Like, I can run over this guy, or Miracle Fusion, or pretty much do anything and get out of the, rabbit hole that I'm in. So I draw for turn, I draw Mirror Force. The problem with Spear of Chaos, though, is once per turn, he can't be destroyed by battle. So if I summon Spine Gilman and I run over his spear, 1, it doesn't die, and 2, he could have a Monarch. and banish my Spine Gilman. And usually I could care less about Spine Gilman. But at this game state, Spine Gilman's my only water. So I kind of need to like protect him. And I didn't mill any heroes off Card Trooper either. So I said, okay, it's fine. I doubt I'll get OTK'd, so I can just afford to just pass. So his go, he swings for 26, and I draw for turn. I draw Brain Control. Not bad, but it's just, I still don't have any heroes. I got the waters, but I don't have the heroes. And Spear of Chaos being the awkward 5 that he is, there's not really a good like synchro play I can make with him. So I decide to summon Spine Gilman, run over his dupe, and set Mirror Force, because at this point my life's pretty low and I fear I'm going to die. But he spaces my force, he swings into Gilman, and at this point I'm so confused, like what is he doing? I'm like, oh okay, he's going for a Christia play. But he just keeps swinging, and then when he summons Chaos Master and drops the Honest, I'm like, oh well, there's no point in wasting this man's time. Let's move on to the next game. So now I want you to look at my opening hand, right? My opening hand was decent enough. Stratos into Malicious. And this hand's really good because on my turn, assuming he goes like set a monster, I can make Bionic and make a level 8. I can take their monster with Mind Control. Like, I have so many good plays. I can summon Falsadina instead to prevent him from special summoning. Like, even though my hand doesn't have any back rows, it's still really good. It's still really good. But he has the perfect counter to it. That being Christia. Summons Nova Summoner. Gets 4 fairies off the gate. My poor Stratos is being taken advantage of. He gets 4 fairies. Special summons a Chaos Spear. And drops Christia and returns Honest. And now I am a terrible situation. It all got bad so fast. Like it snowballed out of this world. All because I summoned Stratos. Like that is not even fair, man. That is just, it's used. It's used. But we do draw Future Fusion, but it's dead under Christia. But the good thing about Falsadina is the field that he has now, every single monster has been special summoned, right? So he attacks into Falsadino, clears his field, but he intelligently drops Honest, right? And by doing so, it allows him to put 4 fairies and summon a second Christia. Like, my God, can I catch a break? Double fucking Christia? Like, get the fuck out of here, bro. Like, that's just not even real. And I went back and I watched the chat and everyone's like, oh, Roghnach, you're so skillful. You're such a good player. And like, you know, I'm not hating. Like, he is a good player, but it's just like, double Christia is skillful? Like, come the fuck on, bro. It's just bullshit. That's what it is. So anyway, he drops Christia, and if you look at my hand, there's literally no out to Christia. So what we could have done, right, is we could have, in hindsight, summoned this Spine Gilman, run over his Nova Summoner, so he takes some damage, and by doing so, it allows me to live potentially one more turn, because he only has Christia on the field to run over monsters with. By allowing him to keep Nova Summoner, then one, it allows him for a chance at a direct attack with Christia. So at first, you know, he's scared of my face down, so he attacks with Christia. But then he's just like, you know what? I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to be about it. And he swings with his Nova Summoner. It pays off. And he gets sweet 28 damage in. So I search out Falsadina because, once again, Falsadina is the only thing that's going to help me. Funny enough, right? If I had Penguin Soldier would be super useful right now. But I sided out Penguin Soldier for Falsadina. So we set Falsadino. We attack. And he's just smart because before anything gets flipped, he just treacherous, and that's it. I didn't even get to play the game. I mean, double malicious, Christia, like Stratos getting taken advantage of. I got ran over like I was a scrub. Like, he blew through me. And I'm like, damn, this is only round 3. So at this point, I'm just like, well, if I lose again, I'm not going to try to go for a tiebreaker of, oh, maybe I'll make top 12 if I go X2 or X3. Like, no, I'm going to bed. Because once again, this tournament for me started at 2 a.m. and this is round 3. So it's already a little after 5 a.m. And yeah, that was our first and thankfully only loss in Swiss. So we go on rounds 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, straight creaming everybody. So that's round 3. Next up, round 4. All right, round 4. So against round 4, we luckily win the die roll and we pull pretty bad. Pretty bad, pretty good, pretty mid, however you want to call it. Like, it's an awkward hand. It's good because I do have an opportunity to summon Caius twice with Brain Control Caius and also Prodigy Caius, right? So that's nice, right? But at the same time, I'm susceptible to anything. But I decide to go to Special Summon Prodigy, sack Malicious, because there's a high chance that I pull a tuner, right? And I really want this Malicious to be live. In my Diva Hero deck list, I don't play many ways to discard Malicious. Like, a lot of Diva Hero decks, they play double discard traps, such as Wing Blast or Roghnach Break. I don't. I only play one. And the reason being is it's a neg 1. In theory, you want to Wing Blast and drop Molly or Wing Blast and drop Treeborn. But in reality, it doesn't work like that. You wind up dropping real cards like Prodigy or like Caius's or like real cards basically for these discard traps, because usually the Molly will be in the grave or in the deck, or the Treeborn will already be in the grave or in the deck. Like, it's very rare that you have your discard trap and your discard fodder in your hand. So because of this logic, I don't play many discard traps. Additionally, that's why I play Dark Grepher, because Dark Grepher himself, he discards Malicious as well, and he helps out with double Molly. Whoever has played any deck with Malicious at any point in their life, they can tell you the glory of Dark Grepher, because when you pull double Malicious, you just feel like your girl cheated on you in front of you and then left you. So, you know, I say all that to say that I wanted Molly to be live, so that's why I went first turn, Special Summon Prodigy, sack Malicious. Now, it can be a little risky, because even though it does put Malicious live, I don't know what deck I'm playing against. So my logic was, as long as I'm not going against Black Wings, because if I'm going against Black Wings and he goes like Sirocco or Shura or like Whirlwind and he sees I don't have anything, then I'm going to just be very annoyed. Even Whirlwind Kalute, right? Make go, you take my Malicious. Now my Malicious isn't live. Like, he can summon Blizzard next turn and make a level 8. Like, it would get bad. If I'm playing against Black Wings, then, you know, it's really bad. So, to be honest, in hindsight, a better play probably would have been just to draw and pass and bluff a Gorz. But instead, I wanted to dig into my deck and help make this Miracle Fusion online, because I don't have any waters. And by attributing Malicious Edge for Malicious, then I can draw, hopefully, into like a Diva. And that'd make this Miracle Fusion live. So his turn, I find out what deck he's playing. He summons DD Warrior Lady. And I'm just like, yep, that's what I get. That's exactly what I get. Like, just summoning Malicious raw, just out there. Like, that's what I get, you know? But I'm not too bent up out of shape, because my hand's still pretty decent, but it is annoying just losing your Malicious for nothing. Summon the card Trooper that we got from the Infernal Prodigy, swing for 19, set Solemn. And he has another DD Warrior Lady, and I'm just like, again? Really? Again? but he doesn't activate the effect. And, you know, from the replay, we can see it's because he didn't have any more monsters. But at that time, I'm just like, what's going on? All right, so I look at my hand. My hand it's really good. Brain control, because I was going for a brain control Caius play. He saw it coming, and he decided to play Book of Moon. And this is what I'm saying. Like, Book of Moon is so good because it stops brain control. One of the most busted cards in the format. Rhoda for Stratos, get Prodigy, so that puts you know, my Caius back online for next turn. Tac, I take 29. Not much I can do about it. I want to save the Solemn for something crucial. Works out perfectly, right? Miracle Fusion for 0. Sack for Caius. Caius hits the back row. 0's going to clear both of his monsters. We swing for 24. Set Torrential. I'm in a great spot. He draws for turn, and that's just it. Caius banished himself. All right. Game 2. We look at our opening hand, and we're really happy, actually, because it was looking pretty bad, right? The first 5 cards were like, this shit is ass. But then we draw into Deep Sea Diva. So we go Diva, and we make Catastor. We don't attack because we have a read that he has Gores because he literally just drew and pass. And we set. Now, here, he drops a Cyber Dragon. Because I didn't get to see Cyber Dragon last game, there's no reason for me to think, oh, I should preemptively flip up this deck Devi. Because it's better to deck Devi after they've wasted their normal summon or once they're in their battle phase. Like, basically, after they've committed to the field and you flip deck Devi, then the card's even more nutty than it already is. Okay? So I'd summon Catastor, and I'm just, you know, happy that my deck Devi is going to resolve. And then he drops Cyber Dragon. And it puts me in a really awkward situation because if I don't deck Devi right here and right now, he can make Chimera attack because Catastor's a machine. So it leaves me with no choice but to deck Devi immediately. So I deck Devi. I only hit 1 card, which was really, you know, sad. And I see that his back rows are real. He hits my Solemn. And everything's just falling apart, even though I know what he has set. Now, I do get heavy here, which is really good, but Miracle Fusion's dead. Draw Dark Arm from turn, and that's it. All right, so we draw for turn, and we just love to see it. Love to see it. Open up Dust Shoot. You love to see it. Send back that Cyber Dragon. This Cyber Dragon was trying to be the bane of my existence, but we got him out of here this time. Send back Cyber Dragon. See his hand is absolute dog doo-doo. Now, because he's not making an offensive push, I can definitely understand the merit of not heavy storming. But at the same time, because it's game 2 and 3, your opponent's back rows can be so real. Like, they can be so real. So he decides just to go set, and I think his back row is Book of Moon. I'm not reading Heavy Storm. I'm not reading Royal Pressure. I'm reading Book of Moon. So the reason why I preemptively MST here is because, let's say he has Book of Moon set, and then I go Magical Android attack, and then chain to the attack declaration, Light Mirror. He can chain Book of Moon. And then if he chains Book of Moon to my Android, then I don't get a chance to kill his guy. And then next turn, it gets dark. But everything worked out because he tried to pro heavy me. Like, I understand there's definitely times when you want to pro heavy someone by setting them, but after your opponent does shoot at you, might not be the best time. But of course, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a situational game and things always change, but might not be the best time. So after I hit his Heavy Storm, and now I know he doesn't have shit, I'm like, this game is over. He lost the game on that play alone. So we draw, and we just do Android Beatdown. And this is pretty much how the set goes. He just pretty much just loses to Android. And, you know, by the time he does get a monster up and he does shoots me, like, it doesn't even matter. Because here We dust. We sack for malicious. And he knows that I have Diva because he dust shooted me. So even with his dust shoot, like, he kind of sent back the wrong card. He should have sent back Deep Sea Diva, but he didn't. He can't banish because I have Light Imprisoning Mirror up on the field. And I have a second one set. He has Torrential here. We're okay with that. If he didn't have Torrential, you know, I could have went for some really dirty plays like that would have messed him up bad. But it didn't matter. At the end, he winds up losing to Absolute Zero off the Allure, banishing the Sangan, and that was just it. And next, round 4. Okay, so this is the start of round 5. So round 5, I go against Igeniero. And I look here at my opening hand. And this hand is godlike. It's absolutely godlike. It's what I like to call the Diva Hero OTK. And the reason why it's an OTK is because if Stratos lives after searching Mali, on my next turn, I can summon Diva. Diva get Diva, make Brio. Brio pitch Mali. Make a level 8 that has at least 2700 attack. Miracle Fusion for 0. 8,000 right there. And because Brio cleared the field, there's not much the opponent can really do about it. Of course, the OTK is stopped by Gores, Battle Fader, Tragodia, etc. But dropping 8,000 points of damage on the second turn is very difficult to do. So it's a really good OTK. And what's especially good about this hand in particular is I've returned. Which means even if Stratos were to be killed by battle or something like that, I can return him back. So this hand is really, really good. Really, really good. It's literally a 2-turn hand. The only problem is I didn't go first. And my opponent opened up Future Fusion. Now the thing about Future Fusion is so busted in Dragons. More so than Diva Heroes because they're sending 5 cards. So he sends his 5. And he sets 3 and brings back Red Eyes. So with the hand I have now, there's only one play. So I summon Stratos, I get Prodigy, and then I set 2, and I just have to hope that I don't die. As long as I don't die on his turn, I will be the one that kills him on my turn. But unbeknownst to me, he has Starlight Road set, so he's not afraid of anything. So he brings back all his dragons. And he even brings back Igeniero Draco, so I can't drop Gores or Trag. And that's just it. My beautiful hand means nothing to the likes of Future Fusion. So my turn. This time I go first, right? Rhoda for Stratos, get Prodigy, allure the Prodigy away. Alright? So our hand's really good. And this is the kind of hand where if my opponent does not open up Heavy Storm, he loses. Future Fusion, MST. Can't beat over the Stratos. And next turn, I can make a level 6 and a level 8. Solemn, extra protection. If my opponent does not open up Heavy Storm, he loses. But, what does my opponent have? Heavy fucking Storm. So my opponent heavies, so it drops me down to 4K. Really unfortunate. Really unfortunate because I really needed, you know, the Stratos to, the Solemn to protect my play for next turn. So summons Igeniero Draco, Force, sets 2. Now here I have MST. But the problem with Dragons is some builds play Royal Oppression. So if I blind MST now, I hit the wrong one, I summon Diva, and he goes Oppression, that's it. The game is lost, right? So at this point, the only card that stops me is Torrential. Because I still have the OTK that I was telling you about before, right? Because right now, I can make Brio a level 8, 0. I have game in my hand right now. And if I had Solemn, so if he didn't heavy, then Solemn and MST, I wouldn't even be worried about his back rows. But unfortunately, I have to play in a way where my opponent may have Royal Oppression and summon Diva Raw. So I summon Diva, Diva gets Diva, and he Torrentials. And I'm sad because now the game's going to go on longer. So I MST his other back row, because now I don't have much of a choice. I have to drop 0 here and start swinging. So MST is back row. It's just a dust tornado. We make 0 and we get on the offensive. So we're not in a bad position, but it's not game, right? Before we had game, and now we're just in a good position. He summons DD Warrior Lady, which is able to easily clear off our 0. We draw for turn. Miracle Fusion, it's dead because unfortunately we don't have any heroes. And we don't have much of a choice but to pass, right? So now we're playing the draw pass game, and I pull Return. Perhaps the best card to pull in this moment, right? Either Return or a hero, but our best hero, Stratos, is already gone. So we pull Return, we set it. He draws Igeniero and attacks. So he's in a really good situation, right? He has Igeniero, he has 2 back rows, right? So at this point, if one of his back rows is Solemn or Oppression, I lose. So I go with the only play I have, Return. I bring back Stratos, I bring back Diva, Stratos search out Prodigy. If he didn't have Igeniero Draco, I would have also brought out Prodigy, and I would have, instead of searching, I would have Stratos pop one of his back rows, right? But I have to go with the play that I had. So everything is going off, and I look at my graveyard. I have 0 darks in the grave and 3 darks in hand. So it's not hard what my next play is, right? Make Brio. I give him a thumbs up, ask if the summon's good. He's like, the summon's not negated. So I prio, I pitch 3, return everything. And then I just style on him for no reason. Because I know he has 2 back rows. I know he has White Dragon because he revealed it. And I know he has Igeniero Draco. So basically he doesn't have anything to stop an attack, right? So I just style on him. I drop Dark Arm. I drop 0. And there we go, right here. This is more than 8,000 right here. All right, so with that, we move on to game 3. Now, game 3, I need him to open mid. No Future Fusion. So my opening hand is terrible. It's not good at all, right? But thankfully, he opens up mid, right? Also not that good. Summon our boy Gilman, swing for 17. And after swinging for 17, we Sark into Future Fusion. Because we need our Future Fusion to be live because we have a Miracle Fusion. And yes, we do have Prodigy and Gilman, but we don't have Treeborn or Malicious. So in this case, Future Fusion is a really good Sark target. So swing for 17. He summons, he beats over my guy. I drop Tragodia. Tragodia is really good in this situation, but smashing, okay? So now we're not in the best situation, but Caius comes to save the day. So summon Caius, banish, he solemns, okay? So now, looking at the game state, my life points are very high. I'm at 79. I have targets in the grave for Miracle Fusion, and next turn I get Future Fusion. So the correct play would have been to wait 1 turn in case my opponent has DD Crow, activate Future Fusion, and then his Crow is dead. But I decide to play Miracle Fusion anyway, and I get crowed. So, I mean, that's what happens, right? Patience is always a virtue. He draws for turn. He draws Cold Wave. And he Cold Waves me and swings for 36. So now I am in a terrible situation. Absolutely terrible situation. And even if I held Miracle Fusion, right, and he draws Cold Wave, I'm still in a bad situation. Because now I have Miracle Fusion, MST, Future Fusion, 3 dead cards. And there's not many monsters that will save me, right? And if I take another 36, that puts me down to 700. So he pulls almost any monster and he wins, right? But thankfully, a true hero called upon the power of elemental hero Stratos. And since we're under Cold Wave, the attack's going to go through, right? So we summon Stratos, we swing. Everything works out. Search out Prodigy. He swings for 18, and all is good. So we draw for turn, Sangan, and now we can finally play our Future Fusion. Future Fusion, Plague, Future Fusion, Molly, and Treeborn, set Sangan, and this is perfect because next turn we can make Stardust. So we set, he swings, search out Plague, draw for turn, banish Molly for Molly first, because if we allure and we pull this Malicious, that's it. We lose. We literally just lose. So banish Mali for Mali first, and then allure away this Prodigy. Now here I'm in a really awkward situation, right? Because I pulled into Heavy. So I can activate Heavy Storm here. But the problem is, if I activate Heavy Storm right now, I lose my Future Fusion, which is going to bring out a 0. I lose my MST, and he loses 2 back rows, right? So essentially I go -1. But Stardust comes out for sure, or Dark End, and I can swing over. But ultimately I decide that it's not worth it, right? At this point, the only card that I really lose to is Torrential. And if he has Torrential, like, he's got it. If he's got it, he's got it. Unbeknown to me, he actually does have Torrential. So I summon Plague, I ask him if it's good, he says it's good, right? I make Stardust, I swing. And I end my turn. So the reason why he let everything go through is because he was playing for Brain Control. But thankfully, the MST that we saved for all this time saved us. Activate Space, chain Stardust, Stardust comes back during the end phase, and we play the Heavy Storm that we've been holding. Zero never gets a chance to come out because he has Rivalry, but at this point it doesn't even matter because his board is clear and we swing for game. And that's it. Next round. Alright, now round 6. So round 6 we're going against SparkyFlary. And we're looking at our opening hand and we're so happy because this hand is what Diva Hero players dream of. 2 turns later, because we clearly Sark for Future Fusion, we send Mali, we send Treeborn. We know the Future Fusion will send those cards because we have Heavy Storm, so no MST, no Regeki Break, nothing to stop it. And we have Miracle Fusion to bring out a 0 immediately, and Brain Control. Every Diva player's wet dream, okay? The only problem is we didn't go first. And Future Fusion is broken in Absolute Zero, don't get me wrong. But it is way more broken in Dragons, like way more broken. And that's kind of been the theme of, today. I've been playing against Dragons a lot, and my opponents, they open up Future Fusion. So anyway, he Future Fusions, and he shows me 5 God, so I'm not too worried. But then I see he's playing the Hopeless Dragon version, which means there's a potential chance that I get Neuralist. But I check his grave, there's no Neuralist, so I'm not too worried yet. He summons Phantom of Chaos, and he goes Card Destruction. Goodbye, my beautiful hand. And he sends a Neuralist with his Card Destruction. Not only that, but he pulls in the Gold Sark, which is going to get him a Dark Creator 2 turns later. This guy literally got the perfect opening for his deck. He got Future Fusion into 5-Ed. He sent all his dragons. He got Phantom of Chaos. He got Gold Sark. He literally got the perfect combination of cards for his deck. Now, my opening hand got discarded, and my next group of 5 cards is pretty good, but I don't even bother getting attached to it. Why? Because I know it's going to get Neuralist. So that's exactly what he does. He Neuralises me, the board gets cleared, and he draws into a Rhoda. Activates Rhoda, searches Grepher, ends his turn. So now, I'm in a bad situation, but I'm not in the worst situation. Because if we look at my grave, I have Plague, Mali, and a Water. So I'm in a really good situation. Not a really good situation, but not a really bad situation. And I draw for turn, Miracle Fusion. What a miracle. But it's not time to use it yet, right? So we're going to stack it on top and instead make Colossal Fighter. Because this deck, Hopeless Dragon, has a really hard time dealing with Colossal Fighter. So Colossal Fighter attacks, swings for 29. Now he draws Necro, which may seem like a bad draw, but remember, he rotated for Grepher last turn, which means that's actually an amazing fucking draw. This guy is not drawing the cards he doesn't want. He's drawing perfectly. Like, it's just like he's writing a book. So anyway, end phase, he summons both of his red eyes, right? Because he knows that if I don't clear both of them, I'm in trouble. But thankfully for me, the Miracle Fusion that I stacked, I play it now and I clear his board. All right. So it looks like I outplayed out of a bad situation, But I'm not out of the woods yet, because now he gets his Dark Creator. All right, he gets his Dark Creator. And like I said, this guy summons Grepher. He pitches Necro, because why wouldn't he pick Necro? And then sends Plague to the grave. So he's in a really, really advantageous situation still. However, because of the lack of cards in his hand, he cannot make Brio. Because if he makes Brio and he returns 0, 0 wipes his board. If he returns Colossal Fighter, 0 runs over Brio. So Brio is not a good play here. So this player, in addition to being extremely lucky, is also very good. So he makes the correct play and goes for a Goyu Guardian. Goyu is really good here because not only does it get rid of one of the threats, but it also clears his board so that he can summon Dark Creator. Had he made Brio, then Dark Creator would have been pitched, or the card that he stacked would have been pitched, and he would have drew Dark Creator next turn. So he clears Absolute Zero, summons Dark Creator, summons Red Eyes, and puts a wall up. Now, let's look at this game state. Colossal Fighter is now at 31. There's 3 warriors, right? Goyu, Necro, 0. So Colossal's at 31 right now. The problem is, if I attack this Dark Creator, he will for sure negate with Roghnach. And then there'll be one less warrior in the grave, bringing Colossal's total attack down to 3k. Which means I can't kill this Dark Creator. So I just start killing what I can. So, attack the Red Eyes. Attack goes through. His turn, he draws Phantom of Chaos. Okay? So we know that he stacked that card. But still, when you think about the situation, it's such a good card. It's just like this man drew so well. Alright? So he doesn't do anything with it. He just draws and he passes. I run over the Horus. Because the game state's still the same, right? I can't beat over this Dark Creator. Alright? His turn, he draws a spell. So here, he decides to bring out Summoner Monk. So he brings out Summoner Monk. And Summoner Monk brings out Grepher, and Grepher sends Dark Arm. So I already know what he's planning to do. What he wants to do is banish Phantom of Chaos. Banish the Dark to bring back Phantom of Chaos. That way Phantom of Chaos can activate Dark Arm's effect. And then Dark Arm will clear my Colossal. And once again, I'm in trouble. So I draw for turn, Caius. Thankfully, I'm getting good draws now too. So I Caius his Dark Creator, which is, a little unfortunate that I had to do it that way. And I know that if I attempt to attack the Summoner Monk, he's going to Roghnach, because this is his most valuable card. So I go over and kill Grepher, right? So I kill Grepher, he draws for turn, set card. Now, in Yu-Gi-Oh, you know the rule. Don't attack face downs. So now I attempt to go after his Summoner Monk. So I attack Summoner Monk, he Roghnachs. And at this point, I had an option, right? I could have summoned Diva, and I could have made Dark End. Another thing I could have done as well, right, in hindsight, is because I didn't pull, I did pull in the Spine Gilman, so I never had a choice of making Catastor, right? So I could have summoned Red Dragon Archfiend, right, in hindsight. I could have summoned Diva, and then Diva attack, and then, but, Roghnach. So this is the problem, right? Roghnach is the problem. So what I should have done is made Dark End Dragon main phase 2 instead of set Treeborn. Make Dark End Dragon, Dark End send Summoner Monk. And if I did that, then I'm in a great situation. But because of that, he pulls a spell, Phantom of Chaos, Red Eyes, brings back Horus, and now he's on the offensive. So because of my one misplay, I went from playing out of this bad situation to almost losing this game. But thankfully, miracle. Do you believe in miracles? Yes, every day. So bring back Treeborn, summon Diva to get Diva, Miracle, make 0. So my initial plan here is Diva run over Phantom of Chaos, right? And then 0 run over Dark Horus. This was my initial plan. However, one thing that escaped me was Dark Horus's effect, right? Because it's so seldomly used, but it's really good. So what happens is he brings back another Phantom of Chaos. So this puts me in a really awkward situation because if Phantom of Chaos stays on the field, he still has Dark Arm in his grave. He's clearing my field. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? He's clearing my field. So I decide to clear his field because we don't want to leave up Phantom of Chaos because it's just too much of a liability. So Diva Crash here. I take 15, drop Zero's attack to 3k, attack. He doesn't have Gardener anymore. Now it's a clear game state. At this point, this guy has used all of his resources. Look, all 3 Phantom of Chaoses are gone. Future Fusion gone. There's 2 Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragons gone. So he only has 1 Red Eyes Darkness Metal left, right? He has 13 cards left in his deck. I have 22. I still have pushes, right? I have 1 more Miracle Fusion. I have the option to make Synchros still, like, and I have Return. So I still have a lot of pushes left in my deck. So at this point, we're just going to draw past game state. And I'm not worried about setting back rows because Heavy, gone. True Nade, gone. So I'm free to just set everything, right? So I'm drawing. I drew in a Sark. I Sark for the card that I need. Return. He's doing a lot of drawing here. And then I draw and allure target. So here I could have summoned Caius, but I'm like, no, it's better to play for my win con, which is Return. And it works out in my favor because I draw Solemn. So set Solemn, set Mirror Force, draw for turn. And I even get a space as well. So like I said, True Nade and Heavy are gone, right? So we just set both and we end. All right. He draws, he ends, end phase MST, his back row, Mirror Force. So now at this point, the game is won, right? Because I have so many good targets banished for Return. So we bring back a lot of good guys and we make 2 level 8s, right? We make Stardust and we make Dark End. So now we can just attack and then we have Dark End in case things go wrong, right? But rather than even giving him a chance to drop Gorge, right? We decide it's better just to go lethal in 1 attack. So normal summon Prodigy, and because this player, like I said, he is also a really good player, the moment we declare Plague's effect, he knows that I'm going for Armory Arm and he just concedes. So that's the end of game 1. Really difficult, really difficult. Okay, game 2. So game 2, we look at our opening hand, and our opening hand is not bad. Definitely not a hand to deal with a first turn Neuralis, but not a bad hand either. He Sarks for Future Fusion and he passes, right? Summon Stratos, attack, because I mean, we got to get damage on the board, and even if he does drop a Gorge, we have Smashing Ground as well. So we Sark for Brain Control because Brain Control is the card that's going to help us, right? We already have Dark Arm. Heavy, there's no point in Sarking for Heavy against this deck. And Future Fusion, we don't need it because we have an easy way to discard Malicious with Brio on our next turn. So we draw for turn, and we just do just that, right? We go for the Brio play, we pitch Molly, and we're going for big damage here, but he has the Crow, unfortunately. Swing with Brio for 23 first, just in case he has Gorz, and then we can return it. He doesn't have Gorz, we make Colossal Fighter, set Bottomless, and we're in a good situation, right? So now, unfortunately, 2 turns has passed, so he gets his Future Fusion. He Future Fusions for 5 head, he sends his 5 guys, and we get our Brain Control. We don't have any monster that's summonable, which, you know, is really unfortunate. So it is what it is, right? And when we see this, we're instantly sad because we can't stop a Brionic. We have Bottomless set, but none of these things are bottomlessable. So he makes Brio, he calls Prio, and I have to activate Bottomless here. He's very, like I said, he's a good player because he didn't target 2 cards, right? If he didn't target, if he targeted 2 cards, it would have been great because he would have lost more cards. But the fact that he only targeted 1 forced me to activate Bottomless. Because if I don't activate Bottomless here and he doesn't respect this back row, my Gorz becomes dead. And, you know, can't have that. So I Bottomless the Brio, I draw for turn, I draw a Treeborn. It's not very helpful. He gets his 5 head out. And here, he has several options, right? He can Neuralis me. And if he Neuralises me, he's in a great situation because, assuming he didn't banish this Red Eyes, he has a Red Eyes in the grave, he has a Red Eyes in his hand, he has double Wyvern in the grave, right? So if he Neuralises me, he's in a great position. And I already used Malicious. Well, I didn't use it, but it got crowed. So basically, there are not really many good outs. If he were to Neuralis me, the only way I would be able to win is drawing a Miracle Fusion, right? Because by Neuralising, it drops him down to 29. And on my turn, I could bring back Treeborn and then play Miracle Fusion, banish Brio, banish Stratos, zeros at 3k, and then run over his guy. So it'd be game, right? So the only way that I would be able to win if he Neuralises me is if I pull Miracle Fusion, right? So he decides to just go for game instead. So he banishes Red Eyes because he has 5 head up on the field, right? He banishes Red Eyes. He brings back Horus, banishes, gets Horus, bring back Horus, attacks, and this is game on board, right? This is game. He swings for 3k, but I have Gores to save me. And that's game. That's game right there. If he goes into end phase, it's over. So he attacks, he clears my board. He knows I have brain control because I gold sarked it, right? So he goes end phase, I show him the brain control, and that's it. Really skilled player, but also extremely lucky. But nevertheless, GG's, and that's it. That's the round. Okay, so this is round 7. The first day of day 2. So at this point, I'm still X and 1, and I win the RPS. Summon Strizzy, get Prodigy. Our hand's looking pretty nice. We swing for 18 here, and the reason why we don't want to make Brio or overextend is because we don't have game. And if we make Brio to pitch Mali, we kind of have to return one of our own cards, being Torrential or Mirror Force. So it's not game. Got to return our own cards. So ultimately, it's better just to attack with Strizzy and pass. He's thinking, so clearly he has something to stop the attack, but it's not a Gores because he would have dropped Gores right away. So on his turn, he draws, he summons Ocean, and he crashes. I'm so confused at what's going to happen here. Like, I'm like, is he going to drop a Book of Moon on me? What's happening? So I'm like, yeah, it's good. I'm not going to Mirror Force for no reason. He takes 300 and drops a beastie Trag. And I kind of feel bad for the guy because the Trag just gets Mirror Forced, you know? If he wanted to drop Tragodia, it probably would have been smarter just to drop Tragodia when I attacked with Stratos the first time, you know? And looking at his hand now, right, of course, then I had no option to see his hand. He should have just dropped Battle Fader because then he would at least been able to summon like a Monarch. I mean, of course, though, you know, if he did drop Battle Fader my second turn, then I would have been able to make Brio and then bounce Battle Fader, and then Battle Fader gets removed by its effect. But still, he has so many options because, you know, maybe dropping Battle Fader might not have been smart, but if he drops Tragodia, I need to think twice if I want to return Tragodia or not, right? But the whole point is that I don't think that this was a great play, and it's unfortunate he fell to a Mirror Force. So still, I can't kill him, right? So just swing for 18 again. He doesn't do anything. Set Bottomless. Now he finally gets the Monarch train going. I elect not to Bottomless because I have Tragodia and Mali in my hand, so I could just take his Caius. And that's exactly what I do. So it gets real bad from here, right? I can make 2 level 8 synchros. But before doing anything, right, I want to go for just game by attacking. He has Battle Fader. So that's what I do. I make 2 level 8s. Make Stardust and make Dark End. And because he doesn't have Retrieval or anything in the grave, we banish that. So he's in a real bad situation. Set Wing Blast. He goes Miracle Fusion, Bottomless, I have Stardust, so we're not worried about 0. End phase, return is backward to the top, and that's just it. Good start to round 7. Alright, so we look at our opening hand, and our opening hand is one of the hands where it's just like, if I could have 2 normal summons, this game would be so busted. Because if I could have 2 normal summons, I'd be able to deck Devi him. Technically, I can deck Devi him right here, right? Because I can go pitch Mali, special summon Grepher, activate Grepher effect, pitch Prodigy, pitch Plague, stack, make Dark End, sec DDV, go. Right? The only problem with that is he hasn't committed anything to the field, right? And Dark Grepher is a great card because he accelerates Diva heroes, but he can also neg you. By negging myself with Plague, by negging myself with Molly, I'm going to be really short on card advantage. So ultimately I decide it's just not worth it, right? It's just not worth it to do a first turn DDV. So I just Sark for Dark Arm and I decide to slow play it. And I don't want to attack because I don't have a reliable out to Gores at this point in time. And I don't want to deck Devi either because if my opponent has MST or Heavy, then deck Devi just goes to waste. And looking at his hand, surprise, surprise, he had it. He 1-for-1. He gets his Frog combo off, which makes me sad because I'm like, dang, I could have summoned Falsadina, but, you know, it is what it is. All right, I draw a Mind Control here. Really good. Really, really good. The thing about Diva Hero is it does have a decent matchup against Frogs because you can always take their Frogs and Miracle Fusion with them, and they don't get the effect. So here, I go for the Dark End play. And it's much better than negging myself the previous turn because I get it off of a normal summon and I get to keep Prodigy. So I attack a guy, he searches, I attack just for 17. Now here, I should have also attacked for 18, right? But I was still a little afraid of Gores, which is why I didn't attack for 18. But against a good Yu-Gi-Oh player, he would have dropped Gores on the 17. Because thinking about it, right? I killed a token, sure. He has a 27 beater that, you know, beats my whole field. So, you know, this should have kind of told me that, like, he doesn't have Gores. But I didn't want to make things worse. So I just attack for 17. And I just decide to pass. I set MST. I mean, not MST. I set Deck Devi. He MSTs it, and that makes my decision way easier, right? Just flip it right now, and he loses, what, 4 cards. He has Treeborn. He Kaises, hits my Grepher. A bit unfortunate because I have Dark Arm coming up off Gold Sark. So here, I forgot that actually I already used my Malicious because instantly what's going through my head is Colossal Army Arm, right? But I banish Mali and I look at my banish zone and see that Mali's banished, so I can't go for the initial play that I thought of. But it still works out, right? Because I have 2 darks in the grave and Prodigy would be my 3rd dark. And I know his whole hand because I just got through deck devying him. So just crash in the Caius, drop Dark Arm, and drop Falsadina, and I am a really good situation, right? Like, if he pulls a Monarch here, like, that's useless. And we've only seen 1 Monarch in his deck. So, I'm in a really comfortable situation. Of course, he draws return, Roghnach Break. And I'm like, okay. I don't know why he's playing Roghnach Break in Frogs, but sure. So he draws return, Roghnach Break, a really good draw under deck Devi because it doesn't get hit. And the reason I activate Dark Arm's effect here is because I have Gold Sark. So in my head, I'm like, I'm Gold Sarking for return. And by Gold Sarking for return, I can bring back more guys. So I mistakenly banished Stratos, but I ban Malicious to correct for it, Sark for return, swing for 28. And I'm like, okay, I'm still in a great position. But he draws another Roghnach Break. And I'm like, you can't make this up. He's just like getting by from these deck devies, okay? And this is the last turn, right? So the first turn I crushed his hand. Second turn was Roghnach Break. Third turn was Roghnach Break. He just literally drew 2 good cards. But he has to Miracle Fusion, right? So he Miracle Fusions. He makes 0. And he's able to just run over Dark Arm. And he sets Roghnach Break. I draw Spawn Gilman, make Catastor, attack. I'm in a great situation. He draws Crow. I'll draw return. So here, he knows I have return because I just sarked it, right? So, I say he's going to play the 50-50. Set both Mirror Force, set return, and he has to guess. If he guesses incorrectly, he loses. All right? So that's exactly what we do. We set 2. He goes Roghnach Break. He rolls the die. And he hits the fucking return. I mean, whatever. I can't complain too much, but it is just unfortunate. So he hits the return. This is a Mirror Force. It is a pretty real card, but not in this game state, right? So now we're just in draw pass. So draw pass, draw pass. Heavy's gone. MST's gone. So I'm not afraid to set anything that, you know, I get. And also with Torrential now too, like I'm not even afraid of Junk Synchron into Black Rose. So we're just draw passing. I pull Sangan. He Caius's, Torrentials, okay? Cool. We get Falsadina. Alright. And now, it's a bit of an awkward spot, because I do actually have targets for Future Fusion, right? So I can play Future Fusion here, but if I have Falsadina, then it's kind of like I just wasted my Future Fusion, right? So I decide not to play Future Fusion. I have Mirror Force still set, so just do Falsadina Beatdown. So bang, crack for 12. Okay? His go, he summons Joan Synchron out of Desperation, Mirror Force. Okay? He wrote us for Stratos, sitting out his deck. I pull Solemn, and I'm like, oh, this game's over. I don't care what he summons. He can summon, like, I don't know, Wing Karibo. I mean, I'm Solomon. I mean, that's a joke, right? But basically, if he summons anything over 12, like, it's getting Solemn. So I set Solemn, he summons Stratos, Solemn, and that's it. Round 7. Okay, round 8. The final round of Swiss. So now I'm going against the only undefeated player in the tournament at this point in time. I win the die roll, I don't open up 2 rel, but then I pull into a Caius and I swing. So the Caius walks, he summons Gales, he halves. Unfortunate because I had Bottomless, but you can't Bottomless Gale, right? So we MST because we need this play to go off because our hand's not that good. And now we're, you know, holding it down with an Android. So I see that he's playing some kind of gadget variant. So we're not worried at all because we have Bottomless. He does book his guy, which saves him from getting Bottomless. But once again, Caius being the MVP. Heavy because we need this play to go through. And Caius. So at this point, we're in a really great situation. Set return because I have Allure. Okay, kill. He kills that. Not a big deal. I take 15. So pretty much any monster outs this. Now here I make 0. So I'm in a really advantageous position. And because I have return set, I'm not really too worried about losing this 0. You cannot bring back 0 from return from a different dimension. But the fact of the matter is, having return is such like a guarantee of victory set. And I don't have anything particularly good banished, but it's just, I'm in a really comfortable position, right? Is what I'm trying to say. So, I mean, one could definitely argue it probably would be best not to attack DD Warrior Lady and force DD Warrior Lady to attack me. But with Wing Blast and everything, I'm just not really too worried about him getting in that game state where he can win. So I attack, crash. Okay, he summons again. I take 15. I draw for turn. A dark monster, and that's game. That's game. Because now we just banish the Grepher, right? And we can Wing Blast the back row, get rid of that, and we flip up the return. And it's pretty nutty that we got Mind Control as well. I mean, that's just... We didn't need Mind Control. It could have literally probably been just, you know, any other card. But the fact that it was Mind Control just made things even more just, you know, icing on the cake. All right, so game 2. So I think he's playing gadgets, right? I think he's playing gadgets. So I side in Deck Devi because I'm like, all right, most of the monsters I saw are 1500 or lower, right? I saw Raikou, I saw DD Warrior Lady. I did see one Gear Frame and one Fortress, but I'm just like, he's playing a lot of monsters that are, you know, 1500 or less. So he goes, he sets 2, and I'm like, oh, this Caius is going to ride out again, and it's going to be perfect for Deck Devi. But unfortunately, you know, he has the Bottomless. Not a big deal. We set 2. He summons his Gear Frame. He swings. It goes through. Now we can pull out this Catastor, and we're not really worried again because that means Deck Devi's live again. So we're just swinging. All right. And now he activates MST. So because he activates MST, we know for a fact that he's trying to drop a Gorge, right? So to prevent the attack from going off, we Deck Devi. So we Deck Devi and we look at his hand and we see that his hand is cooking. Like, he can just kill me next turn, right? He can just kill me next turn. And that's exactly what he does, right? Yeah. It looks like he mistakenly added Mirror Force here, but, you know, this is not an issue, right? At the end of the day, this game is over, right? All right, moving on. Next game. So game 3, we open up pretty basic, but you know, the reason why we don't set Sangan is because right now Sangan is not needed, right? We want to wait to see what's a better card to search with Sangan. Do we search out a Diva to go into Catastor? Do we search out a Falsodyna to stop his special summons, right? So Sangan right now, he's not needed. So I'd rather put Treeborn in the grave because Treeborn's good for Synchro, Treeborn's good for Caius. So we set Treeborn Torrential, right? He summons DD Warrior Lady, which is very annoying, but it gets Torrentialed. Draw for turn, and then we draw a Miracle Fusion, and we're like, okay, this is nice. This is really nice. So now we set Diva. I mean, not Diva, we set Sangan. And with Sangan, we search Diva. And we get the Miracle Fusion for turn. So our hand is looking mighty lit, right? Mighty lit. So now we can go ahead, we can make our boy Stardust, and we can drop this Miracle Fusion, zeros at 3k, run over, and we, you know, tribute to negate, set bottomless, pass. MST. Now here, we have to tribute Stardust because bottomless is basically protecting us from anything that can go wrong, right? If he summons a fortress, we bottomless. But it's unfortunate that he has MST and heavy. But even still, it's best that we tributed Stardust because let's say that we allowed the MST to go through, right? So we MST, he hits bottomless. Now I have Stardust on the field. He can summon Fortress and Fortress crash into Stardust and I lose my whole field, just like that. So tributing Stardust was definitely the right play, and it was good that he had Heavy Storm for him, but now he has to deal with this 3k0. So here, he crashes in the 0 to kill 0, Stardust comes back, and we're still worried about the threat of a Gorge dropping, right? So because of that, we make Stardust, we make Goyu, and only swing with Stardust. The thing is, Goyu is the Gore's stopper, right? Because if opponent drops Gore's, you can just take him. You can just take him. So if you're playing right, Goyu can be a counter to Gore's. So my turn, we make Brio, and this puts him in a really awkward situation. Because now, if he has Gore's, he has to drop Gore's. Because any combination of these two attacks is game. So he has to drop Gore's on the first attack. So swing with Brio, he drops Gore's, kill the token, Goyu take, and he is in a terrible situation. Alright, he draws for turn, Falsodyna, he sets it, but it's like, why would I even bother entertaining attacking a face down with Brio on the field? So Brio pitch, return it, and that's it. Round 9. Alright, so now we finally made it into our first match of top 8. So we are the first ranked seed in the tournament, which means we're going to begin someone a much lower seed, right? So we look at our opening hand, and at first glance, the hand might look really good, but the problem is we don't have a way to get rid of Malicious, right? So because we have double Diva, we can afford to make an Android. We swing lowest to highest. We don't want to just make Android right off the back in case he has Gores. Has Tragodia. Tragodia, not much of an issue here because we have Mirror Force, right? So looking at our opponent's hand, our opponent literally has everything, right? Brain Control, Caius, like 1 for 1. Like our opponent has like a lot of good cards. She brings back Treeborn and banishes Android. And here, I bait her into thinking that I have Solemn Set, right? By putting up the thinking phase. So she runs into Mirror Force unexpectedly. So right now, even though my hand's not the greatest, I'm doing a pretty good job of outplaying her. I don't have much I can do here, so I just draw a pass. She summons Swamp, hits me for 1,000. I draw a Penguin Soldier. Okay? Definitely not the best pull here, but I elect to set it because if she has a Monarch, I'd rather the Monarch take out Penguin Soldier, then I can mind control and do Diva plays. So unexpectedly, she flips up Scapegoat. Really interesting tech choice. And ones for ones into a substitute. So this just, you know, unlocks her whole board here. And she Kai's my guy. So because of that, now I'm in like a really awkward situation with the dupe lock. And she starts for Heavy Storm too. So I'm in a really, really awkward situation. But no biggie. So I see here right away, my win con is return. So I need to make Brio, and I need to get rid of some of this stuff and return it back later, with, you know, after it's been banished with Miracle Fusion. So we take the guy that can get rid of our return, make Army Arm into Brio, pitch, Miracle Fusion, 0, and now we're on an offensive, you know, train, but she scares me, right? Hits me with the T-Roar. Her turn, she has Brain Control, which honestly I should have saw coming, right? Because she sarked for Heavy Storm, so she probably already had Brain Control in her hand. Here, the fact that she had Brain Control fucking sucked. Like, my God, that card is so fucking ignorant. Because not only did she take my best card, but 0 is super fucking strong now because of all the waters on the field. So this is game. Just attack is game. So I have to literally return just to save myself. Which is, you know, so, you know, infuriating. So, you know, end phase, everything gets banished. And then I draw for turn. So here I drew the perfect card, which is Miracle Fusion. Because now I have game, right? Sack 0 for Caius. Caius banished Caius. She takes 1,000 burn, Miracle Fusion, attack game, right? So that's what we go for. So she takes 1,000, 0 clears the field. We bring out our own 0 and we go for game. And she has Battle Fader. Come the fuck on. She has Battle Fader. She has Brain Control. She has Threatening Roar. She has Battle Fader. Like, come on. Like, T-Roar, honestly, it's not that big of an issue. But it's just like, dang, can I get a break here? And I'm like, all right, it's actually fine because she's still in a bad situation. But off of the top, she gets Junk Synchron. So that means now she can make a Black Rose play, and that's exactly what she does. So she Junk Synchrons in a Black Rose. Field gets cleared here. I Sark for Miracle Fusion, and that's just game. Tac. So nothing we can be mad about, right? We didn't misplay. It's just quite unfortunate. Like, she just drew better. In my opinion, I outplayed her that game, but, you know, it doesn't matter. That's Yu-Gi-Oh's. All right, so here, we draw, we set Treeborn, and we're like, okay, I hope she does the standard frog play where, you know, you summon Substitute, you attack, and you return it, and then you're happy. Because, like, if she does that, I'm summoning Fossil Dyna, and then I'm attacking. And this Fossil Dyna is going to go to work. But she doesn't do that. She sets a monster. And I'm just like, come the fuck on. The one time when I want my opponent to actually summon Swamp Frog, he's nowhere to be found. So I'm looking at my hand. I got a lot of options, right? Because what I could do is I could Future Fusion, banish for 0, summon Fossil Dino, tac, right? But I'm like, the only problem is if I do that, then I can't get Malicious reliably in the grave, right? So I'm like, well, since she hasn't committed anything to the field, instead of doing all that, I'm just going to make Stardust. I mean, not Stardust. I'm going to make Thought Ruler because I don't want to get Brain controlled. I'm going to make Thought Ruler. And I'm assuming that this set is a dupe frog, right? Because what else would it be? But I was wrong. It was a Treeborn frog. So I just passed, right? Already normal summoned. No point in just summoning 0 at this point, right? Especially with the potential of getting Econ. Alright? So she drops Caius, banishes Thought Ruler, runs over Treeborn. I'm like, okay, cool. So Miracle Fusion, 0 comes out, attack. Now here, I had to think. Because I was like, alright, enemy controller is still on the line. So would it be game if she econs me? So I think long and hard, like, do I just Miracle Fusion now? Do I Miracle Fusion my 0 and bring out another 0, clear her Caius? That way, even if she has econ, like, I'm good. And ultimately, I decide not to do it, right? Because I'm like, I don't think she can kill me. So I end my turn after thinking a lot. And here, you know, if she had a Monarch, that would have been it, right? That would have been it. 25, 24, 24, right? That would have been it. But thankfully, no Monarch to be found. So now, I take all this damage. It's a lot of damage. It's a lot of damage. Once again, using my own 0 against me. And here I drop 0. So, I have no idea what her set card is, right? It can be Falsodyna. I have no idea. But the main thing that I'm worried about this back row is this back row being threatening Roar, right? Because if this back row is threatening Roar, then it puts me in a really shitty situation, right? Because I can't clear her board, and she can easily Caius me or Deuce play another enemy controller, and that's just it. I lose everything. And I know my win con is Falsodyna. If you summon Falsodyna against frogs, it's really hard for them to win. So what I decide to do is clear her board, summon Falsodyna, and attack with everything. Because now this allows me to safely summon my Falsodyna. Okay? So she takes everything. She flips book. If she was going to book, I don't know why she wouldn't book on the attack. That way, you know, she doesn't take 12 for no additional reason. But, you know, it is what it is, right? So now she sets up dupe block. All right? So we're not too worried about a dupe block here. Bang, bang. We draw for turn, draw, return. And we're in a really, like, awkward situation. Because we can flip up Falsodyna, right? If we flip up Falsodyna, the whole field goes. Because the 0s were special summoned. Even though she normaled her dupe, 0 would kill dupe. So the whole field would get destroyed. She's at 18, right? So I would need something of 600 attack to, like, finish her off. But I don't have anything that's 600 attack in my hand, right? If I flip Dinah, summon Diva, like, Diva can't special summon anything. If I flip Dinah, summon Prodigy, Prodigy only has 300 attack. I have a Plague in the Grave, right? But you can't special summon under Falsodyna. So it's like a really, like, awkward situation where it's like, do I flip Falsodyna or do I not? And I have return as well, right? So I'm like, okay. I think she's going to try to rely on her dupe frog lock to win the game. So I'm just going to set return. And by setting return, she'll switch her dupe frog to defense mode. And she'll end. And then on my turn, I'll flip up return. I have Diva as a tuner. I can make Dark End. And I can basically out her board. So that's the play I ultimately decide to go with. But she decides to go for a Black Rose play, right? So a Black Rose play here, it sucks. Like, I lose everything. Like, it sucks. And it makes me wish I would have flipped up the Falsodyna. And here, she summons Swamp Frog in defense, which tells me that she doesn't have anything, right? She doesn't have a way to stop it from being game. So I'm looking at my hand here, and I'm like, okay, if I summon this Vanity's Fiend, that's it. She's not going to be able to come back. But what I didn't counter was Brain Control. So, I mean, she summons, she plays Brain Control, and attacks for game. And that's how I lose top 8. And it just makes me really, like, kind of sad because I was just thinking about the duel over and over again, like what I could have done differently to, like, win. And what I should have done is this play right here. Instead of summoning Vanities, instead of bringing back Treeborn, Special Prodigy, normal summon Diva, Diva get Diva, and make Armory Arm. Armory Arm into Brionac. Brionac pitch a card and attack direct 23. And I would have won. So it's just really unfortunate. Game 1, you know, she drew really well. Game 2, I lost to brain control, but it's my fault, right? Like, I can't blame brain control. I should have saw the play sooner, but, you know, when you're in the driver's seat, shit happens. But anyway, that's Diva Hero for you. I know this was a long video, and I hope it gave you an insight as to some of the plays of Diva Hero. And, you know, comment below. Let me know what you think of the deck. Once again, like, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. It really does help out a lot with making these videos. And my next video, I plan to upload a deck profile where I go in depth of the card choices that I have for Diva Hero and my general opinion on its place in the meta. So anyway, thanks everyone who stayed into the end, and take care. ATrueHero out.